Good morning. Welcome back to day number 2 of the Board of Regents meeting. Glad to see you all. We had a terrific opportunity, we as the Regents, with some OCHI staff, with members of the community here in Dillon. So I know Chancellor Reed isn't sitting here, but I want to thank he and his office for putting together such a great list of individuals who are not only committed to Dillon and certainly Western, but we're willing to engage in conversation about higher ed and how we can continue to be nimble and focused on the needs of our communities and our employers. It was outstanding. So that's why we're running a couple minutes late. The conversation was so great. So again, Chancellor Reed, thank you for putting that list together this morning and having so many of your contemporaries there. We'll jump right into the 2-year community college agenda. Chair Southworth, please.
Thank you, Chair Dombrowski. Good morning, everybody. Chancellor Reed, just a shout out. Thanks for making this so comfortable. This is my second meeting in Dillon, and I love this community. I'm jealous of your college here in Dillon. Every time I come here, I'm just like, if Lewistown had something like this, it would be so cool. But anyways, you're doing a fantastic job here, and thanks to all your staff for helping set this big party up for us. I'm trying to boot up here. I think I maybe got to where I needed to get to. So I think I'll introduce kind of as we go instead of doing a big summary of what we're about to do. First on our agenda today is a request for approval from the Perkins team. There was an advisory board set up uniquely this year for I think it's close to $7 million. That's really the catalyst for the funding for the CTE in our state. It's very important. We're hoping that the Perkins amounts can increase over time. And the cool part about the advisory is that it gives Perkins some oversight to assess where there are real needs or maybe where people are behind, people being, different districts on the K-12 side, so that a lot of Montana high schools can kind of catch up to where others are and meet industry, right where we're at now. So anyways, Deputy Commissioner Till, if you want to kick this off, please do.
Regent Southward, glad to, and I'm going to invite our State Director of Career and Technical Education, Jackie Treaster, up to the mic to talk through this process. And starting off really with some recognition of Jackie and her team, and also her counterpart at the Office of Public Instruction, Shannon, and their team. They, I think, ran a very thoughtful process to solicit feedback from the field, to inspect our data, to think about how our state plan should be structured. Jackie.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the board, happy to be here today to seek out your approval for this state plan. I'm going to give you a few highlights. Thank you, Chair Southworth, for being a champion for Perkins. I so appreciate it. There's so much good work happening both on our campuses and at the secondary level that I'm just so proud of. And so it's a great time to celebrate that a little bit and then give you some of the highlights for our state plan. So, do you want me to drive? Okay, so why does it matter? Why do we make such a big deal of the state plan? So just for your information, this is going to cover the next 4 years of kind of a strategy of how we implement CTE programs both at the secondary level and the post-secondary level. It really sets our vision for the workforce development system that we have in the state and our relationships with not only K-12, but also with labor and industry, our business partners, both private and public, and how we really meet the needs of workforce and our students at the same time. It helps us establish strategies, on meeting the needs of special populations. So we've talked about this before, keeping in mind that students with disabilities, non-traditional gender students, so those are male students in education and nursing, female students in STEM fields, things like that. In order to meet the workforce needs of our state and really our country, we need to start thinking outside the box of traditionally the students that have been attracted to those types of occupations and think about ways to recruit them into those CTE fields. We are always thinking about ways to support our teachers and faculty, and the state plan really helps us define the processes and procedures for how we really use the money at the state level, but then also how we evaluate success. So what are the ways that, what's the data that we're gonna collect, how are we gonna analyze it, and then what essentially are we gonna report back to the Department of Education, and then what's gonna help inform some of the decisions that we make at the state level in how we wanna spend the funding. So just a little overview on the state plan timeline. You can see we've been pretty hard at work for the last 6 months. We are currently posted for a 60-day written public comment period. I'll talk a little bit about that at the end so that if anyone is interested in participating, they can do that. We are, excuse me, in the obviously March 24, hoping for your approval today. And then, assuming that we get your approval, we will work with the governor's office to request his support with a letter just saying that he agrees with our strategies and supports our work, and that's something that we anticipate will happen, and then the state plan will be submitted on May 10th. So as Chair Southworth mentioned, we had a fantastic Perkins State Plan Committee. This is something that is actually written into Montana statute. And so it's something that, it's a group that we get together only when we're reviewing the state plan, so it's every 4 years. But, excuse me, this list of folks, I'm sure they're all familiar to you. They're all very involved in so many different areas, both at the education level and the workforce development level. They're all fantastic partners. I love to tell everybody that every single person on this list has spent time in the classroom. They know what students are experiencing, what they need, what life in the classroom actually looks like. And so their insight was just so incredible. And I just can't say enough about this amazing committee that we were able to pull together to help work on the plan. So, one thing that I wanted to point out is that we actually simplified our statewide vision, and I'm not going to read it to you, but just to let you know, we really kept the spirit of the last state plan, but we did try to simplify things just in an effort to, drive some more of that work that sometimes it's useful to have a little bit more of an efficient, succinct kind of vision for us to run with, and so I think that was a positive change. A couple of other changes for you to note. We have performance indicators, and that's that data I was talking about where we kind of evaluate our success. We really took the time to think through with the committee, what data do we feel really confident about as far as validity, reliability, how we can collect it year over year, and making sure that comparing one year to the next, that we feel comfortable with the numbers and where they're coming from. And so we updated a few of our performance indicator definitions, and I feel very comfortable with where we landed on those. We increased our funding for our state institutions, so this is a pot of funding that goes to our Montana State Prison, the Women's Prison, and then the Pine Hill School. They're doing such fantastic work with career and technical education and certifications for those folks, and so we increased the funding that is going to go there. We also increased funds to support career exploration in middle school. A big change from Perkins 4 to Perkins 5 was that we were allowed to use funds for activities for students that were much younger. And so we are seeing that that's really important to talk to these students when they're still in middle school before they get to high school so they can start thinking about these things. And so we've increased the funding that we can use to those activities for those students. And then we're always thinking about ways to strengthen secondary and post-secondary collaboration. We want to make sure that if a student is in a CTE pathway at the secondary level, if they choose to pursue that at the post-secondary level, it should be a fairly easy transition for that student. They should be familiar with, the terms and everything that they would need to be successful in the post-secondary level. So much of that is partnering with industry and industry associations, knowing what they're looking for, We talk a lot about like these soft skills, 21st century skills, employability skills. That's a huge part of it, and that's a big part of Perkins as well. Those have to be embedded in each of our CTE pathways, and knowing what industry is looking for is a huge way for us to accomplish that. And then we're always thinking about ways to be innovative with technology and these learning options. Perkins is really an access type of legislation, and so making sure that every student in Montana, regardless of where they're located, what opportunities they might have in their community, they should have access to these quality career and technical education programs because they do have such positive outcomes for students. And so making sure that that's available all around the state. In a big state like Montana, we're always thinking of ways to use technology and use these different learning models to help serve those students all over. So one thing that and it actually was brought up a couple of times yesterday, is, building this awareness of the great work that's happening. We're asked sometimes, like, why aren't you doing more with CTE? And the fact is that we're doing quite a bit with CTE, and we just are trying to get better at telling our story and celebrating the successes. And so with COVID not being too long ago, we had some money that was left over in the state leadership pot of funds from Perkins. And one of the ways that we're allowed to use that funding is to actually build some CTE awareness. So we partnered with a production company who helped make some really incredible videos. I have 3 that are completed. I would love to show you one of them today. I'm going to show you the workforce development video, but we also have videos on CTE dual enrollment, healthcare careers, IT business careers, skilled trades, gender non-traditional, work-based learning. And so just a really fantastic highlight of what's going on around the state. Every post-secondary school that participates in Perkins is highlighted in at least one video, including our 3 tribal colleges. So that's really exciting to showcase just the great programs that are all around the state that all of our students have access to. And each video is about 3 minutes long. They will be featured on our website. All of our school partners are able to use them. We're thinking about ways to take advantage of some social media campaigns, things like that. But having these videos kind of at our disposal, I think, is going to help us build some CTE awareness. And so, Mr. Chair, if you're okay, I'd love to show a 3-minute video, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
As industries advance and evolve, colleges across Montana are responding with innovative career and technical education programs. These programs are tailored to meet the demands of a dynamic industrial landscape and equip students with the skills and knowledge needed to thrive in advancing professions.
I'm Mark Fairbairn. I'm the site leader and director at the Boeing Helena facility. Standing here at Helena College, we're partnered with the college to really drive curriculum development so that the skills the students are learning when they come through the classes here are applicable to the skills that we need in our business. Even though we have an international brand and a very strong brand, getting down and into the local communities and organizations and associations has been crucial in making this pipeline work, and that's where we really appreciate the leverage that Helena College has in the community and helping us to expand that pipeline.
My name's Brandon Cassidy, and I'm one of the 3 instructors out here at Highlands College for the Pre-Apprentice Line School. We reach out to all of our surrounding REAs and cooperatives, as well as Northwestern Energy, and speak to them in length on the things that they want to see us teaching these kids so that they come out ready to hit the ground running.
These programs integrate skill-based training with practical knowledge, from foundational concepts to direct application. In top-tier labs, students are readied for immediate roles in their industries.
My name's Adam. I work here at Quantel by Lumibird. I graduated the Photonics and Laser Technology program at the Gallatin College through MSU. A technical degree with more hands-on training, if that's how you learn, that is a better way to go a lot of the time. I learned things by doing them, and we had the ability to do that and really get a grasp of where we were headed when we graduated the program. Not to mention the cost difference was a huge factor for me.
The photonics program came out of a need from industry. Here in Bozeman, we have over 35 photonics companies, and as they march from R&D into production, they realize that they need technicians to actually build the lasers.
These programs are more than just a bridge between education and practice. They are incubators of skilled expertise, turning education into action. Education aligned with industry needs cultivates a skilled, adaptive workforce.
My name is Corinne Porter. I'm an avionics technician at Bridger Aerospace, and I'm an instructor for Gallatin College Avionics program. The role of an avionics technician is that we're responsible for maintaining communication systems, navigation systems, anything that has a wire running to it, it's our responsibility to maintain. And as the industry is progressing and the technology is progressing, we're seeing that avionics aspect and expand into more and more systems on our aircraft. So it's super important for us to continue teaching students how to get into this program and into this industry and keep the industry moving.
My name is Simon. I'm an avionics student at Gallatin College, MSU. I'm interested in planes. I've always really loved automotive mechanics, and so this is just a step up from that, a little bit more in depth and more intense, and I think that's super cool and exciting. Just walking through and seeing the planes every day, it helps you dream a little bit about where you can go with this program.
Echoing industry advancements, these accessible and affordable programs are producing highly sought-after graduates, primed with advanced skills in their fields.
And so go for it. Get a trade, get into an industry, and while you're still learning about yourself and what you want to do with your life, that's a really great place to be.
Discover what's out there at applymontana.mus.edu.
So as you can see, I think those turned out pretty well. We have a whole bunch of them coming soon. They should all be done, I think, within the next couple of months. So excited about the way those turned out. And then the only other thing I want to point out for you all is that attached to the agenda is the entire draft of the state plan, as well as an executive summary. If you don't want to take the time to read the entire state plan, I won't blame you. But we have those both attached in the agenda today for the board, as well as on our public comment page on the MUS website, and this is open until the end of April. And it's a federal requirement, but we always appreciate public comment from members of the community, students, some of our agency partners, things like that. And so if anyone feels like they'd like to leave a comment, please do. And we address all of those. Every comment that we receive, we address in our final version of the state plan that we submit to the Department of Education. So, again, please take the time to visit that, comb through the information. And with that, I am happy to stand for any questions.
Brilliant presentation, Jackie. Thank you. Any questions, comments from the regents?
This is pretty practical. So it gets submitted in May, and when will the decision be rendered?
So, Mr. Chair, Regent Dombrowski, typically, I think last time it took maybe about a month, and that's, assuming that they don't have any, edits or changes for us.
And the dollars would flow?
The dollars, so the Board of Regents is our eligible entity, and then OCHI administers on behalf of the board.
And that the new dollars would come like July?
Regent Dombrowski, it is largely a formula grant, so the dollars are going to be ongoing. But it's more, are we setting out a plan that fits with how those dollars are meant to be used? And so there's an opportunity for Octave, the group that administers Perkins, to work with Jackie and team on what that state plan looks like.
Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you.
Regent Lozar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just reflecting on the survey yesterday that was presented to the board, the perceptions of the value of higher education. One of the barriers that was identified was people living in rural Montana having access to high-quality education options. Just wondering if you can speak a little bit to sort of this year's plan and how we may be able to address that known barrier.
Sure, absolutely, Mr. Chair, Regent Lozar. So, as far as Perkins specifically, we do fund quite a bit at the post-secondary level, that technology that helps deliver quality CTE at a distance. We see a lot of that technology happening. We have equipped classrooms at both the secondary and post-secondary level so that there can be synchronous learning opportunities for students from rural communities in Montana. They can essentially take classes at a school that is 300 miles away. And so we've used the money to equip those classrooms. At the secondary side, there's a lot of work being done. one of the ways to do that is through CTE dual enrollment. And of course, that can be challenging with getting these CTE instructors, especially, you just heard that they can make such a great living outside of the classroom. But there's been a lot of ways to incentivize those students to come back. And sometimes it's just a lot of, they enjoy serving their community, and so they enjoy being back in the classroom. And then we're also seeing that secondary schools, along with the Digital Academy as well, they're figuring out ways to share resources, share teachers that have the expertise that can teach those courses, whether they're CTE dual enrollment or just straight secondary CTE. So there's a lot of innovation happening. Am I missing anything, Joe, that should be
Just
called
the one
out?
thing that I might add that's related to this plan in particular. Historically in Montana, the way that Perkins dollars have typically flown, secondary and post-secondary, is to the bulk of the money goes to individual institutions to support CTE equipment and programming. On the secondary level, that individual institution, that can be a small pot of funding. And so this is creating some of the groundwork to consider how do we have those conversations on a more regional or consortial level of small institutions, so that where, a few $1,000s going to one small high school might not get you the strategy to offer multiple programs, but can we think about that on a larger aggregate level to build out, tools, resources that can serve multiple districts, multiple schools? That hasn't historically been the way that Perkins operated in Montana, but it is how it operates in many, many other states where there are smaller rural institutions that are thinking about how do we use a finite pool of funding to structure programs that can serve a broader set of secondary schools, of high schools.
And Joe, Regent Lozar, it's also becoming a lot more common for these groups of high schools to work together, but then also partner with a post-secondary institution just to expand those resources available. And so, I think we're hoping to be pushing that model in the next few years in Montana. Luckily, because of technology, geographically, it's not as much of a challenge as it used to be. So, a school on the western side can partner with a school that's, a few hundred miles away and still get the benefit.
Great. Thank you, Jackie. Really appreciate all the work. Montana is fortunate to have access to your mind, so thank you.
Thank you.
We'll roll into our number 2 on the agenda. I'd like to welcome Dr. Angela McLean to the podium.
Regent Southworth, wait, one item before that, apologies.
Oh.
It's the board policy item.
Oh, sorry. Angela, I'm sorry. We'll get you up here in just a second.
This one will be swift, and apologies to jump in. There is one draft policy on the Regent's agenda. It's policy 301.12. Similar to yesterday's discussion, this is coming to you for information at this meeting. We're still, I think, having good discussions with campuses, feedback on the language of this policy revision, so this would come to the Regents in May, potentially with some alterations from this draft text. But these changes really are aiming to do 2 things. The first is that in our current definitions of 2-year degrees and credentials and shorter certificates, we realized that there were some classes of degrees and certificate offerings that our institutions wanted to offer that had purpose and usefulness for students, but that were not captured in our policy. So a key example is a certificate of general studies. So this is capturing when a student has completed a general education curriculum. Most of our students who transfer before they finish a full associate's degree. So trying to get and capture on that transcript the fact that they're due that completion of their gen ed. That was a useful certificate. Some campuses offered it. It wasn't clearly reflected in kind of our taxonomy here. The second piece is aligning some of this with the definitions that we use for data tracking and have used for data tracking in our system, trying to make sure that those are aligned and clean and have some shared and common definitions around them. We're having, I think, some good discussion in particular around certificates of completion. That hasn't existed in this policy before. They have existed historically in the university system, and trying to understand what's the most purposeful definition, what are some of the use cases there. Is that something that we want to add to this policy? But here for your consideration and knowing that you will see it in May.
Great, sorry to skip you there. Any questions for the Deputy Commissioner? No. This time, for real, Angela, please come up to the podium.
Thank you so much, Regent Southworth. Madam Chair, members of the board, great to join you once again here at the podium. This Regent meeting, I promise this is my last time this meeting coming to the podium, but I do look forward to having a great visit with you in May about some promising workforce development outcomes that we're seeing with some of the work that we're doing. For this presentation, though, I get to visit with you about the landscape that is ever-changing around Montana's charter schools. So the legislature last session approved 2 bills. One was House Bill 562, and that was dubbed the Community Choice Schools Act, and that one is tied up in litigation. The second one that was approved is House Bill 549, and that one is labeled the Public Charters School Act. And that bill specifically provided for Board of Public Education approval, and we do have one of the BPE members in our midst with Dr. Ron Slinger, who you will be hearing from momentarily on another item. And when they put out the call for the charter school proposals, I think the Board of Public Ed, as well as the bill's sponsor and certainly other lawmakers, anticipated maybe a handful of charter school applications. Interestingly enough, they got close to 5 handfuls of applications, and 19 of them were ultimately approved by the Board of Public Education. And they approved MOUs for those approved charter schools on February 28th. And when they did that, they unlocked the funding mechanism to go forth for these charter schools to kick off. And it's my understanding, as I stand here today, that all but one of the charter schools will be launched this July. So as we move into this conversation, one of the things that we did was we took a good look at all of the proposals to see where there were linkages between the proposals and our Montana University System campuses. And as we did, and as we had conversations with our campuses about those proposals, as well as with board member Slinger, we discovered that the charter school proposals that engage our campuses fall into one of 3 categories. There are those that provide flexibilities for homeschool students, and we have a significant opportunity, especially on the west side of the state, to bring more homeschoolers back into our K-12 systems through the charter school mechanisms, and I think there's some promising models out there that will do just that. Second, we saw charter schools that had work-based learning opportunities built right into them. And then finally, there were pathways around dual enrollment. And there are a lot of conversations already underway, some further along than others, around a multitude of these 3 categories. And I want to thank our campuses for their leadership. So a couple of things that we've done to make sure that we are supporting from the system level each of the charter schools and the conversations as they roll out is we convened our campus team members as prescribed in some of the proposals around a conversation on February 15th. And we had, I think, over 30 folks from the MUS campuses who signed into that very important conversation. Some of the emerging themes you see up here, a lot of conversation around funding models, a lot of conversation around what the student support system might look like as we design the pathways for these students from high school into the MUS through these charter schools. And then finally, the ultimate theme of the day that emerged was there are extraordinary opportunities for not only our K-12 partners, but for our MUS campuses in these charter schools as they roll out, and that we need to be ready. So with that, we decided that another convening was important. We reached out to the Digital Academy, and we have set a meeting coming up this week where we will vet the proposals a little more thoroughly with our K-12 partners. They've been invited to the table, along with each of our post-secondary campuses where we anticipate some partnerships and some engagement. And so we want to make sure that we are ready at every level to plug in and support this initiative and make sure that there's thoughtful efforts as much as there can be at the system level with this ever-changing landscape that is the Montana Charter School conversation right now. And so with that, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, members of the board, I would turn it over to you to see if there are any questions.
Thanks, Angela. Just one, I'll try to make this into a question and not a statement, but the funding models, specifically the agreements between school districts and our campuses, you know, when we're talking about, you know, the local tax money, K-12, like, you know, 19 coming online at the same time, just concerns there. Like, I just, you know, what would be, I guess, in my mind, helpful and where I'm hopeful is that there's kind of a one-size-that-fits-all. There is a template that can work for everybody in lieu of, you know, you being handed off 19 chainsaws to juggle. Yeah, I didn't do a good job with the question. That was definitely a statement. But I'll leave it at that and open it up for questions, comments from the regents. Regent Lozar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was going to ask about the funding models as well. I'm just curious what we need to be thinking about or knowing about in the university system with regard to funding, knowing this is primarily a K-12 initiative. So what are the implications for us from a funding perspective?
Mr. Chair, Regent Lozar, I think that I am picking up what you're putting down. And first of all, I would tell you that one of the reasons that we decided to engage very early on, as soon as we saw these proposals and the conversation at the Board of Public Education, was we saw a need for us at the system level to engage in a way that would support streamlining of as much of the efforts around all of the 14 that would connect with our MUS campuses as possible. And so that is exactly why we are plugging into these conversations and seeing what kind of efforts we can establish at the system level to make sure that we're not duplicating efforts or reinventing the wheel as each of these charter schools come online. So I think I heard a little bit of a question about streamlining efforts. And then second to that, one of the first themes that emerged during our conversation with our campuses was the conversation around what does the funding model look like for things like an early college system. And I think that you're absolutely right in that the funding model certainly is built around the K-12 funding model. But I think that it's certainly something that we need to be thinking about in this room and around this table, especially out ahead of the next legislative session. And these are conversations that Deputy Commissioner Teal and I have had. I have had with the Executive Director of the Board of Public Education, but it might involve other folks, including lawmakers. I mean, we've talked about a number of things that could ultimately be conversations that we have around streamlining further what opportunities could mean, not only for our K-12 partners with the funding, but potentially with us, and a recognition of who are our K-12 students. And when they earn enough credits towards their high school diploma, when could other opportunities for funding post-secondary efforts kick in? And so I just think that there's a lot of things that we don't know around these models right now, but I think that a lot of those conversations could and most likely will take shape over the course of the next 7 to 8 months. And I do anticipate some real conversations about it, certainly at the legislative front. It was at top of mind for the Ed Interim Committee earlier this week.
Dr. McLean, could you, of the 19, how many intend to have high school students? Like how many intend to be full K-12? All of them or some of them? Or?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, what I would tell you is in my review of all 19 of them, I would tell you that there's 14 where I think there could be strong connections with the Montana University System campuses. And so one of the things I want to point you to in your packet is I worked with the Board of Public Ed, and where the executive summaries were not made available to me through that, I actually crafted the executive summaries, and they are attached in your packet. And so I would invite you to take a look at those and see what questions might emerge. And by all means, if you're interested in joining our meeting on the 20th, we can get you the Zoom link, because this is really a time of discovery around these charter schools. And one of the phrases that I continue to hear is, we don't know what we don't know, but we are going to be ready to support our campuses as this effort rolls out.
Great. Thank you, Dr. McLean, and thanks for being ahead of the curve on this. Look forward to future updates on it. I think this is exciting.
Thank you.
Moving along in the agenda, we're going to we'll introduce our two-year panel. I'd like to welcome up Dean Gallagher, Dean Erdman, and President Slinger. And then Deputy Commissioner, if you'd like to set this up, please do.
Glad to. And perhaps actually if we could pull up, we have a few slides, and I'd love to give the regents some sense of what this esteemed group is going to share today, set the stage a bit for them. And if we move to the next slide, you know, one thing that I think we forget often is how broad the charge that we've given our two-year institutions is. What you see on this slide is the mission that you set for your MUS two-year colleges in board policy. See, lifelong learning opportunities, community development, adult basic education, certificates in applied science degree, workforce development, transfer associate's degrees. These institutions are meant to be the way that Montanans access the breadth of education and access for all Montanans to that breadth. And that's a lot, particularly for campuses that serve rural communities, are small in size. To say there are people wearing multiple hats is a dramatic understatement. And we, visiting with Regent Southworth, wanted to provide over the next 4 meetings an opportunity to kind of survey the breadth of that through the voice of the deans, the CEOs, the presidents of these institutions, and highlight some of the innovative work that they're doing in different areas of that mission, but also highlight where there's some opportunities or where there are some barriers. And given the presentation we just heard from Dr. McLean, I think it's very appropriate that we're talking about dual enrollment and secondary pathways today as our highlight. Dual enrollment has grown dramatically and is also changing dramatically in the state of Montana. And so I think it's a really good time to both highlight some of the directions it seems to be going that we think are innovative and exciting, and also talk about where perhaps that changes some of our concepts around policy, supporting students, funding models, et cetera. We can move to the next. Just why that matters a little bit is that nationwide dual enrollment has grown, and it's grown for a reason. It's because we see that when it is evaluated well, and that's challenging to do, it seems to be associated with all sorts of things that we care about. If you participate in dual enrollment, controlling for your academic background, your school's delivery models, college matriculation increases, on-time graduation increases, you have higher earnings. You don't necessarily graduate from college faster, but you oftentimes graduate with more opportunity to take further credits and build your skill set so that you are more employable. And certainly in Montana, like the nation, we've seen dramatic growth. Just to remind you, a decade ago, 1 in 10 Montana high school students earned a college credential before, a college credit before they graduated. Last year it was 1 in 3. And just thinking what that also means for these institutions, a decade ago, typically in spring is when you see higher dual enrollment. Decade ago, spring headcount, dual enrollment was 14% of these institutions' spring headcount. 2023, in spring, it was 46% of their headcount. So we're seeing a substantial shift in terms of the students that they're serving, the staff that they need to serve those students, the staff that they need to help those students understand how the courses that they are taking relate to their aspirations and future college career. And so nationwide, and I want to recognize Tom Gallagher, Missoula College have participated in some of this work, but there's a lot of focus on where do we take dual enrollment next. It's at greater scale. We're seeing a tighter interconnection between high school and college, but also some challenges in terms of how do we reach that next mile in terms of access? How do we make it so that there is clearer alignment between college degrees and careers and what students are taking as part of dual enrollment? How do we leverage dual enrollment for career exploration? And how, when it's reaching this level of scale, do we ensure that it's high quality? And so I'm going to stop talking because that was quite a monologue and turn it over to our 3 two-year leaders here, starting with President Slinger, just to share a bit of their perspectives and some of what's happening on their campuses in this realm.
Thank you so much, and I'll back that microphone up. Thank you so much, Chair Southworth, members of the board, and commissioners. It's an honor for me to be here today representing our faculty and staff who are doing outstanding work at Montana's oldest and, dare I say, President Karras' best community college in the state, Miles Community College. The Montana Chamber of Commerce a few years ago did a survey of over 1,000 businesses in this state, and that survey came back with workforce as their #1 concern. They did not mention technical skills. What they mentioned was soft skills. We, at the time, were looking to redesign our career development course. I took that survey, handed it to our team, and said, I want to be able to tell the business community we heard them and we have responded. I want to be able to say that every graduate of Miles Community College, whether their pathway is directly in the workforce or to continue on to the university system, is job ready. That has the exact skills that they want. They did a fantastic job. What you see in front of you is College Studies 111. It's only a 1-credit course. This course does your typical career exploration, also does resume and does mock interviews, but you'll see on the course topics on the right, it also touches the soft skills they talked about: emotional intelligence, time management, effective communication, conflict resolution. We launched this with our own students in fall 22, and the feedback we received from them was phenomenal. They kept telling us, no one's ever told us these things before. They also told us that they felt so much better prepared to enter the workforce and understood better what the expectations of their employer will be. We realized pretty quickly that if they're telling us that no one's ever taught them this before, we need to get this into the high schools. So we created a vehicle to do that we call the Opportunity Realized program. We piloted that in spring of 23 with 2 local school districts, Terry Public Schools and Jordan Public Schools. They agreed to enroll their entire senior class, both school districts, with this course with us for free. We had the exact same feedback from them. Those students had a phenomenal experience and really gave us inclination that we were on the right track. So we continued recruiting school districts. I am excited to tell you that as of today, we are now partnered with 31 school districts and 2 nonprofits. What that has resulted to us is this. In FY21, our annualized headcount at Miles Community College was 943. This year, our annualized headcount is 1,343. That is a 42% increase. And when you dive in and Montana resident headcount, it actually is even higher. It's 45% increase. 2 years ago, I was at this very Regents meeting, and Regent Bow and I had to cover. He's smiling because he remembers that conversation. And he asked me, how are things going at Miles Community College? And of course, I assured him it's always sunshine and daisies at Miles, but I'm excited about several initiatives we have going, and I actually believe that if we do these correctly, that within 3 to 4 to 5 years, we actually will be able to double in size. And he looked at me and said, I'm going to hold you to that. Well, Regent Bow, I'm going to tell you this. I firmly believe that if we don't accomplish that goal by fiscal year 25, we will by fiscal 26. We will more than double the size of our college without adding 1 square foot of facilities. So we believe in this. I fully understand that I'm blinded by the clarity of my vision on this, and our college is fully committed to this. And this, we are literally just in the first phase. There's several other phases of the Opportunity to Realize program that allows us to capitalize on this recruitment. But when you really think about it, we've basically, through this program, we've taken our recruiting funnel from a 55-gallon pail to an Olympic-sized swimming pool. Because we have school districts that are enrolling their entire junior class, their entire sophomore class, and they're doing that every year, which means in Montana, we know 50% of high school graduates don't go to college. Through this program, our vision is that in eastern Montana, every kid goes to college. I'm not saying to get a degree or certificate, but I do want them to have at least this course. That is a game changer for them. It's a game changer for the community. And quite frankly, I think it's a game changer for the MUS because this will be a pathway for those students as they continue on. At this time, I will just leave you with 2 words: Go Pioneers.
Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to discuss some of the great things that we have going on at Missoula College and in Missoula at the University of Montana. I'm going to start by talking a little bit, back some more, a little bit about opportunity and value proposition. So we have high school students who have completed nearly all requirements for their high school diploma before their senior year and are left with part-time schedules as 12th graders. And we have an opportunity here to blur the 12th and 13th grade and support the many well-qualified students who are ready to accept the rigor and challenge of college coursework during their junior and senior years in high school. And a value proposition is to help more individuals choose pathways to earn college degrees and certificates that improve their social and economic mobility. So what do we know? We know that dual enrollment students are more likely to finish high school, persist in post-secondary education, and accumulate college credits than their non-dually enrolled peers. We also, at Missoula College, we're an institution that is fully engaged in guided pathways as our continuous strategy for college reform. And as other colleges across the country advance their guided pathways reforms, we've found the opportunity to reach into high schools to help high school students start exploring their interests and program options and developing a college and career plan is an opportunity that we really would like to take advantage of. Researchers from across the country right now, and primarily at the Community College Research Center, are studying these are cross-sector partnerships, understand how community colleges can support their students at an earlier stage in their educational journey. The other thing we find is that earning college credit in high school enables more students, especially those historically underrepresented in higher education, to pursue college after high school. Opportunities to earn college credit in high school are unevenly distributed currently, leaving many students who stand to benefit the most with little access to them. And these are the things that we're trying to change. So up on the screen here, you'll see the DEEP framework, which is dual enrollment equity pathways. And what we're finding is that the greatest impact of institutions who have implemented DEEP have had the greatest impact on serving students from low-income communities. So the model that's been created with DEEP is early outreach to students, aligning pathways and dual enrollment offerings, advising in the use of individualized learning plans, and high-quality education and academic support. So I'm going to describe a pilot program that was initiated here in 2021 in partnership with Frenchtown High School, one of our Class A schools in the Missoula region. And I want to recognize as we go through these collaborations don't take place without some really, really wonderful people. And we have an amazing team at Missoula College: Jordan Patterson, Grace Gardner, and Ben Nelson leading these efforts. But we also have an equally amazing team at Frenchtown High School with their principal, Jay Keynes, Counselor Beth Terzo, and Robin Richardson. So the key to this program was building those relationships and those people coming together to look at how we can help our students. And we created a pilot program where students are going to earn their general education certificate by the time they graduate for high school. So this started with outreach to students, and that outreach actually took place during their freshman year in high school. So freshman orientation session took place during spring semester 2022. Students, parents, teachers, and representatives from the college gathered to form this new pilot program. Second step in this was aligning. So our general education was selected as a pathway that is very general and could serve the most students. Doesn't mean it's the only pathway we can create, but it provided a really great launch point to start this collaboration. So dual enrollment and early college coursework were aligned to form a learning pathway for these incoming high school freshmen. And it started with their sophomore year where they took one dual enrollment course. And then through their junior and senior years, they will continue on and finish off the remainder of their general education. Advising students in this program all have an individualized learning plan. And that individualized learning plan is started their freshman year in high school. And then support. Mention those folks that do a really wonderful job on both sides. That cross-sector team was put together to ensure that there's progress checks, advising continues, and there's coordination between course scheduling at both institutions. Because some of these courses are taken at Missoula College. They don't necessarily have to come onto campus. There's a little bit of a distance. It's about 30 miles to Frenchtown from Missoula. But there's opportunity with different modalities of learning for them. So here's our early results. From that academic year 21-22 freshman cohort, we have 28 students enrolled in that right now. They will be finishing their junior year of high school later in June. These individuals will graduate as part of the class of 2025 and are on track to be graduates of Frenchtown High School and also graduates from the University of Montana with a Certificate of General Studies, and will be well poised to complete 3-year baccalaureate degrees or continue forward into a CTE credential or associate degree. We also have a second cohort of 30 students which formed during spring of 2023, and there'll be the class of 2026. So right now we have 58 students in this program total, and we anticipate a third cohort will be forming later in the spring of 2024 with graduation in the class of 2027. So what have we learned? We learned that embracing, and we're early still, we don't have our first graduates, we'll see them soon. I would look forward to having them do something that's pretty rare, graduate high school and also graduate with a college credential. At Frenchtown, we find that because of the localized approach, we have student scholarship funding that's available through the PTA and their local organizations. We've also found that Frenchtown has utilized this program to develop a charter school to help provide greater support. We're also working with Big Sky High School in Missoula. They have already established their own pathways, and our work right now continues in aligning these pathways with college courses and then credentials, so that students graduate with certificates and degrees, and it might happen before they finish high school or it might after they finish high school. And then lastly, in Ravalli County, we've developed through Bitterroot College partnerships with existing high schools in Corvallis and again in Hamilton. Again, very localized approach. Corvallis has a pathways approach. Hamilton is constructing a Polytechnic Institute, and again, it is serving as a charter school. And Christina Berger, who's with us, you'll hear from her a little bit later this morning. Tom Kors, Pete Joseph, and Cami Edgar have all been really, really key players in this. Lastly here, what's next? And I think probably our next steps need to be really looking at how we might be able to scale these programs. And we have two challenges in this. One, building capacity, like having enough capacity as we start looking at, and a simple example with Frenchtown, when we're at full capacity there, we'll have 3 cohorts of approximately 25 students. They'll be taking 30 credits and 3 different cohorts, and we're anticipating about 2,250 student credit hours for those of you that want to do some arithmetic on that. And so building that capacity is going to be one of our challenges. And the second one is a business model. You know, we've stepped into this. It's a wonderful program. It's definitely going to benefit students, but we have to figure out how we're going to conduct business. So I'll stop there. Thank you.
Chair Southworth, Deputy Commissioner Teal, thank you for putting this together for us this morning to share about dual enrollment opportunities across the state of Montana. As you heard from President Slinger and Dean Gallagher, the two-year colleges across the state have developed unique approaches to providing dual enrollment opportunities to secondary students in our regions. Like Flathead Valley Community Colleges and other two-year campuses across the state, Great Falls College is proud to have offered dual enrollment opportunities for a very long time. In fact, we've been doing this for 20 years, since 2004. High school students in our regional service areas can take classes in 3 different ways. They can take them online, they can take them on site, and they can do it through concurrent enrollment offerings. I'll first talk about the on-site and the online courses open for dual enrollment. And basically, all of the on-site and the online courses we offer at Great Falls Colleges are available in this manner. This is because all of our faculty and our adjunct faculty at Great Falls College are required to obtain their Class 8 licensure. And as a result, all of our classes can be taught through dual enrollment. We often have homeschooled students take advantage of this opportunity by filling in curriculum requirements, and at other times even more intentional by earning their AA or their AS degree. In addition, we also have students from the Paris Gibson Alternative High School take on-site classes that count simultaneously toward high school graduation and college credit. More intentional approaches are also available for students to take full program offerings on-site in high school. In a unique partnership with Great Falls Public Schools, 8 to 12 high school students each year come to our campus every day during the school year to attend classes and complete their CAS in welding. In this long-standing partnership that's been around since 2013, we've had 88 students graduate with their CAS in welding over the years. So the courses and programs in the examples provided are about our on-campus and online offerings taught by Great Falls College faculty and adjunct faculty. And the concurrent course offerings I'll cover next are instructed by high school faculty who have the necessary credentials to teach the subject matter, who have similar responsibilities as all of our adjuncts do. We require them to teach the approved student learning outcomes. They take part in all of our onboarding efforts, and they are involved every year in a performance review process. With 8 school districts, 41 partner schools, 61 classes, and 34 concurrent instructors, we are pleased with our progress in providing access and opportunity through these concurrent offerings. While they have tended to be in more traditional general education disciplines like history, English, and math, our next step with concurrent offerings is to make these credits count. We are launching a campaign targeted to the dual enrollment students and our partner school districts to make sure the classes that the students choose count toward their future goals. And in addition, we are providing more CTE-based credit opportunities, dual credit opportunities for our students. A newest, very intentional approach in CTE dual enrollment is the option for Great Falls Public Schools and rural students in other school districts to earn their EMT basic certification while they're still in high school. Great Falls Public Schools offers the EMT basic course at CM Russell High School, and students from Great Falls High School, CMR, and the Paris Gibson Education Center attend or participate. Also in Fergus High School in Lewistown, we offer the same course with students from Fergus, Harleton, Hobson, Winnett, Winifred High Schools, and we have one homeschool student as well. So basically, this EMT course has 25 participants from 6 schools across 5 different Montana counties. We offered the first EMT basic dual enrollment course for dual credit in 22-23 with 19 students completing that credential. And we're hopeful that all of the participants this year in these 2 cohorts complete as well. Because the EMT credential is a great career path start that can lead to a paramedic degree or launch students into other healthcare fields. How do we define our success in dual enrollment? And at Great Falls College, the metric that we monitor most closely is this: the percentage of first-time freshmen who take dual enrollment courses through Great Falls College and then enroll after high school at Great Falls. That's what we monitor. And our goal is to increase this percentage each year for the next several years. Intentionality with our offering should help us to reach this goal and continue to provide access to higher education opportunities in Montana. So with that, I'll transition back to you, Chair Southworth, Deputy Commissioner Teal. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And apologies, Chair Southworth. I just wanted to provide just one last thanks, and also for the Regents, maybe a quick summary of some themes that, speaking with these 3 and other 2-year leaders, kind of emerge, and lots of innovation going on. I think also some real barriers to continued high-quality expansion. Dean Gallagher mentioned capacity when we're thinking about expanding access to dual enrollment offerings. There are creative things going on. The Montana Digital Academy has been a great help in partnering with our campuses to offer dual enrollment courses online to more distant high schools. But we often still need and have challenges finding faculty at the high schools with the credentials that are needed to teach dual enrollment. We have some frictions in terms of getting more of our faculty appropriately licensed to offer dual enrollment. We're thinking about clear pathways and credential attainment, helping students to fund the credits beyond 1-2 free, helping them to overcome some of those financial hurdles. And then these are some new models around dual enrollment that are emerging. In the charter school discussion, I think perfectly a really important question, Regent Lozar, as to how that will work. Many of those are thinking about using more college faculty and college services, which changes some of the models, the financial models, the business models around dual enrollment. In a period where we're also, I think, struggling to think how we sustain 1-2 free, where those funding sources come from when dual enrollment is at the scale that it is today. So thank you 3 for sharing. I hope that there's some questions and times for discussion with the board, but I appreciate you representing all the 2-year leaders today.
So when, Joe just mentioned barriers and some of the funding issues in the future, but where some of the excitement exists in my mind is, I don't want to overuse the word innovation, but I don't know if there's a better word for it. I liken, your panel today, and there's a few others that aren't sitting up here on our 2-year and community college side that, I guess I'll just be a self-appointed ambassador from industry for a second, and kind of some of the advantage I see to the great work that's going on is that we are shining a light collectively on opportunities for K-12, but simultaneously what's happening and what needs to continue to be talked about is that there's this pathway from K-12 into the 2-year and community colleges, then back to industry. the Department of Labor has created apprenticeship programs. So it used to be for like a company like mine, if you weren't 18 years old, you couldn't come and work for me. And now that's changing to where you can come. You can apprentice. And then if you like this, or not you, but the student likes this, then there's opportunities and specific opportunities that, like, for how we're doing it, I think many more business leaders in the state are going to start picking up on this, and it's going to help a lot of the funding models, because where the juice is here, and where I think this needs to go for Montana, is that industry needs to step up to the table and meet you where you're at, right? So, very athletic group. You hear the needs of our state, very uniquely. I'm proud to be affiliated with you. But industry participation, I believe, is going to look like this in the future, and it's going to grow. That we're going to take on youth, we're going to apprentice them. They're going to like what we have to do, and they're going to go from K-12, and then industry is going to send them to you. And a lot of the programs already built. It's not like, okay, hey, reinvent the wheel on this. And then we're with the offer of bringing jobs back into our communities, not jobs, but the promise of careers, right? I think that there's lots of jobs in the U.S. right now, and I think this is a really good opportunity for Gen X to create the next generation via you, and it's really easy to justify the investment. But I just want to communicate that here in this room out loud, and I want to hear that conversation where it's a lot more people other than me that are talking about it. Like, how are we going to sponsor? How is the private sector going to sponsor youth in our communities to go to you, to become educated, to come back home for breadwinning careers? So really appreciate all the work, and just hats off. And I'm excited to continue this over the next 4 meetings. And I know that there's a lot that you didn't talk about at your respective schools that, that I hope that, we can shine a light on here at this table. But thank you for sharing what you did share. And with that, any comments, questions, Regent Bow?
Chair Southworth, thank you. Panel, thank you. I mean, I think we should take a moment and reflect that this is a pretty staggering amount of innovation we've heard about this morning from the secondary, system and in combination with us, and that many of these conversations would have been non-starters, 2 years ago as a result of, and it's been a result of legislative changes and innovation on across the system. So, just the idea that we can have charter schools and be trying to, and have so many different ideas. I mean, take a moment and read all the charter school, statements of where they're going, and you can see that we're going to experiment, and we'll figure out what's really working. And I have a couple questions. I guess, President Slinger, I guess we've extended our bet a year. It sounds like you've extended yourself a year this morning. Is that what we accomplished?
Chairman Southwest, Regent Bow, I'm still holding to FY25, but
just wanted to check.
Yes, sir.
And how do you? I just have a question about how you're doing your count. Like, so if you're offering one credit across to 31 different schools, all seniors take them, and is that? I mean, I think about a count as an FTE, but if you get participation, that's what your count looks like, right?
Chairman Southwest, Regent Bow. So 20% of our FTE is now high school students.
Okay.
So with the one credit, obviously it takes 30 of these to equal one FTE.
Okay.
So on an annualized basis. So our program basically is the engagement opportunity, the access and opportunity that it provides. We are just in the first year of the build out. There's several other phases. The next phase is what I call the multiplier. First phase is just the capture of new partners. The next phase is the multiplier phase, where you take that individual student and you get them to enroll into the next class and then the next class, okay? Ideally, we'd like this class to be embedded as a junior level first semester. That way they can take advantage of the 1-2 free. They can take advantage. As an independent community college, we have the same type of program as 1-2 free, but it's not 1-2 free, okay? A savvy high school student or savvy guidance counselor in high school literally could grab 2 free classes from our college, 2 free classes from Flathead, and also 2 free from the 1-2 from the MUS school, and really put together an entire semester, okay, of free college for them. And some of them are doing that. So the multiplier effect is trying to enhance their experience where they now take that second course and they get a more focused, take a third. Then it's actually conversion rate, which will be our next step. So, and the easiest way for me to say is this. Let's say there's a high school, there's 100 seniors, and typically that high school we get after graduation, 6 of them to matriculate to us full-time, right? So it was 6% penetration rate for the high school. But currently in the existing model, we maybe are only seeing out of those 100 kids in that high school, we're only seeing maybe 30 to 35 of them through dual enrollment, because those are the kids that are naturally looking to go to college, okay? Through our program, regardless of socioeconomic background, regardless of who your parents are, regardless of where you live, you have taken a college course. You are an MCC student with an MCC ID, and you are establishing an MCC transcript. We can keep that same 6% conversion rate, but the N is 100, we do much better. Yeah. We have that many more enrolled. So if there were 60 of them and we got 6, that's 10%. Actually, in our model, we're hoping to increase that conversion rate for that high school to 10 FTE. That is how that will grow on our FTE side.
Thank you. No, and you're filling a need across school districts that are short teachers, so thank you. Dean Gallagher, a question on the Bronc Fast Track. Where do we, so I have a couple of questions about how, are you using teachers in that program that are certified both at the high school level and for the college courses so that they can earn their certificate? What does that process look like?
Well, that's and thank you so much, Regent Powell, for that question. That's a good one to have too. I guess it might be best described as a hybrid model, where we have, and if you think about dual enrollment, and I always think academics, you compare catalogs. And so the academic catalog for high school and college don't always align. You know, there's areas where they align very well, math, writing, nice clear alignment, history. There's other areas like psychology, anthropology that we just don't teach those in the high schools. So we have a mixture or that hybrid environment where we do have dual enrollment courses where we have certified teachers that also that have the appropriate credentials to teach at the college level. And we also have folks that are totally college professors that are offering some of these other courses that there's no equivalent credit at the high school for that, so that's done completely at the college. So it's an early college course. So we have a mixture. There's not like one methodology that works for everyone.
Super, thank you. And so if they earn their general education certificate, what status does that give them if within the university system? I mean, it's not a degree. I don't understand what the certificate is.
I could speak to that, Joe. So it's an indicator that a student, and so a student can complete the general education core and then transfer. Sounds a little odd when we start talking about high school students, but can enroll at any of our MUS institutions and have all their general education completed at that time. And so they start off as really sophomore level status and ready to pursue the last 3 years of their college career.
So, I mean, are we saving families money then if they do this? Then are they entering as sophomores? Is that? I mean,
that's absolutely the idea. In fact, that's one of our promotional flyers that we have, is that we put together the cost of this,
and I don't have the figure off the top of my head here, but it's substantial. And it does save families money. The other piece as we start engaging in these pathways that we're looking at too is that we find our capture rate at UM for students that are in dual enrollment, it's maybe like 11 to 13%. And it doesn't sound very high. It doesn't sound like it. And part of that reason is because the folks that are seeking dual enrollment are going other places. And what's really exciting to me with the DEEP program is that we have an opportunity to bring students in who right now wouldn't be going on to college. And we're really penetrating a different market in our local in our local areas that provide individuals opportunities to improve their socioeconomic status through education, and we're bringing them into the university.
Yeah, no, I think we're super excited about the idea of reigniting the idea across all demographics and socioeconomic groups that secondary ed is achievable. So thank you for your work on that. My final question, I'm sorry to get into the details, but so the college courses that are offered by college professors and that are evidently do not meet, they don't even fit in with the high school requirements. Are they offered in person or online?
They have opportunity for both. And if you think about rural Montana, and I'll go ahead and loop Frenchtown High School into rural Montana, they're not in the Missoula proper area, and it's a half an hour drive. So the majority of those students are not driving that half hour, they're doing online learning. So they've chosen that modality.
Thank you. Gallagher, thanks, Chairman.
Any other questions, comments? Regent Lozar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just concur with all of the other regents have talked about the innovations and about sort of the growth in dual enrollment. Obviously, for years, we've been looking at the impressive outcomes across a wide spectrum of metrics. So certainly something that this board supports, and really appreciate all the work that you guys are doing in that space. Just thinking from the barriers place and a policy place. One of the barriers that we hear often for dual enrollment is around teachers, having sufficient teachers, and barriers around Class 8, I know is a real barrier, and I know there's been discussions to see how we can sort of fix some of those issues. But Dean Erdman, one of the things that you mentioned that I don't think I've ever heard is that you were requiring all of your faculty to get Class 8 certified. And that to me is a policy decision at Great Falls College. And I'm just curious if that is unique in the system that we're requiring that as a part of employment. And so that's one, and I think a policy thing that we should be discussing. Is that a best practice? Is that something we should be doing across all of the 2 years? And then two, and dipping into a little bit of the K-12 side, knowing they are the ones that do the licensure, but is there a way by which our teacher ed programs in the university systems can also sort of require as a part of their training Class 8? So when they leave that they have that as well. So it's on sort of both sides of our educational system that when they leave, we know that we're going to have sufficient numbers of Class 8. I know it's Class 8, there's some aspects to that make it a little bit challenging, but I don't know, Dean Erdman, if you can speak to sort of how you develop that policy and if there are others that have any perspective on doing that at the colleges, and then how we might be able to embed that Class 8 and teacher ed programs in the system.
Regent Lozar, I appreciate the question about Class 8 licensure, and I will stumble through my response. The policy was put in place before I came to Great Falls College. This has been a longstanding commitment on the part of the institution to provide access and opportunity to rural high schoolers to engage in dual enrollment opportunities. So I don't know the answer on how long it's been in place or how that policy was put together. I do know that I am a proponent of continuing with it. So even as we're working through hiring new faculty, as we review their background, we ask and look at whether or not they would be eligible for a Class 8 licensure. And it's a decision in our hiring process as well. So it's part of who we are right now. As far as teacher ed requirements for Class 8, I believe once an individual graduates with their teacher education program training, and I'm looking over at Angela to see if she's going to help me out here, phone a friend, through teacher education training programs, they're eligible for their Class 8 licensure already as a result of that degree, correct? They don't even need it. Thank you. Did I answer your question then? Okay.
Chair Southworth, I would just like to say, I think that's a great policy. I will just let you know that Opportunity to Realize program was only taught by Miles Community College faculty and staff. I want us to have that direct connection with the student. In fact, quite frankly, there's such a disparity of qualified, and I'm going to be careful, at the high school level, they have to, if they're going to teach a college class, right, they have to meet our requirements. It's such disparity. At this school, this has one teacher that could qualify for French. This school, it's art. This school, it's math. It is just not an even playing field for all those students. We're taking that equation out at Miles. We're teaching it. And so that way they're enrolled with us, and they get to build a relationship with our faculty and staff right from day one, which I also think will help with recruitment and retention.
President, can I respond to President Slinger here? I'm sitting right next to
Yep.
No. So our instructors have the Class 8 license so that then we can offer all of the classes available. So they are the direct contact with the student then. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Dean Karras.
Mr. Chairman, Regent Lozar.
Yeah, coming up to the podium. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Regents, and Regent Lozar, just if I could say a few things about the Class 8 license. I know it's been in place for at least 15 or 20 years, and I know Angela McLean and I worked on it many years ago and have had some different opinions on it. I just want to share with you that I think the Class 8 license is very important when we have college faculty teaching at the high school, teaching concurrent enrollment classes. I think the Class 8 license was designed to help faculty teach high school students. However, when we have high school students on the college campus in college classes, they're not identified as high school students. They're one or two high school students in a college class, and we all should be and are, I think, making sure those students are qualified to be in a college class, because otherwise we're doing a disservice to students. But when those students are in a college class on a college campus being taught as a college student, I'm not sure it's necessary for our faculty to have to go through the Class 8 licensing process to be able to teach at a high school. And I think that's something that's been an issue ever since Class 8 licenses were put in place. And I know there were some reasons for agreeing to that, but I still think for many of our faculty it's a challenge. It's expensive for the colleges, and it really doesn't provide any benefit to the high school students who are being taught at a college class on a college campus. So I have a little bit of a different opinion from some of the deans you've heard, but as president of FECC, and this is my 23rd year doing this, I think that if we could move away from the Class 8 license requirement, especially at the colleges, that would be a much better opportunity to provide better education for the students we serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean Karras.
Sorry, I agree. Deputy Commissioner Thiel, can you update us on where we stand on this issue?
Regent Bow, thank you. So for those who don't know, Class 8 licensure has changed over time. Recently, Class 8 licensure changed to be upon recommendation of a campus academic officer, but there's an annual fee and an annual relicensure requirement. And that, I think, is part of what President Karras is referencing, is that in some of our collective bargaining agreements at the 2-year level, there are requirements for Class 8 licensure. That is sometimes covered by the college, sometimes covered by the individual, is a barrier in terms of the paperwork and the cost. So while it has gotten much easier, it is not easy. With that said, there are models in other states that do not have a similar requirement for college qualified faculty to obtain such a license. We haven't yet gotten too far down the road of mapping out those models in a way that we can make a recommendation or start having discussions with the Board of Public Ed and others who govern some of those spaces of what we might propose to simplify that process so that we don't have, one of those throttling points in terms of our ability to have our faculty teach at the high school level.
Could I join in on that conversation too, just real briefly here? Excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt, but one of the things that we find that seems to be a greater barrier is the high school teacher having the appropriate credentials to teach at the college level. And all high school teachers, there's such great and motivational tools for moving across the salary matrix to have master's degrees and to enhance their education. But that usually takes time, and that usually is later in a teacher's career. And so having that, one of the barriers we continue to kind of struggle with is having qualified teachers in the high school who are able to teach college level classes. And if we're going to continue that model, that's something that maybe we need to examine. How can we help those teachers get the master's degree that they need so that they can teach college level classes while in the high school environment? So thank you for that.
Well, I think you heard me say this before, but I agree with that. Both past speakers. I think what we need to do is take some leadership between ourselves and the education committee, and streamline and form a process to clarify all this for both sides, so that we can avoid these extended discussions about licensure. Because it's obvious that the integration between high school and secondary ed is happening without, all around us. And we, if it's not exactly our remit to resolve that issue, but I think by showing leadership on clarifying those Class 8 rules, we can really make it easier for everybody to do what they're actually already starting to do.
Thanks, Regent Bao. Any other questions, comments? Dean Erdman, President Slinger, Dean Gallagher, thank you very much. This is a great conversation. Tom, I'll save you a walk because you'll be right there next. So thank you. Also like to call up for our last agenda item, Director Christina Berger. We're going to have an update on Bitterroot College. Deputy Commissioner Teal.
Thank you so much, Chair Southworth, and excited to have Dean Gallagher, Director Berger here. Many of you know the University of Montana has had a college in Hamilton for more than a decade. For a time, it was capably led by our own Dr. Angela McLean, and it's at an important turning point. So there's, for the past few years, been an approved community college district without a levy. That community college district, their trustees are, again, pursuing a levy. We're uncertain of the outcome of that, but in the meantime, I think that Dean Gallagher, Director Berger, Angela at the University of Montana have done some excellent work that deserves being highlighted and discussed. And that's also, I think, importantly, leading to an evolution of the vision and mission of that campus location in the Bitterroot, that at future meetings we're hoping we can bring to you an item that would formalize some of what that is. It hasn't been officially established in terms of its mission, its remit. There's parts of board policy that have pathways for that, and we want to work with Dean Gallagher and the University of Montana to kind of say, here's what this institution is, its relationship to the University of Montana, its mission and vision. So with that, I'll turn it over to these two.
Thank you, Commissioner Teal. Regent Southworth, Madam Chair, thank you for allowing us the opportunity to provide an update on the University of Montana's work at Bitterroot College. I will start by taking a moment to introduce Bitterroot College's director, Christina Berger. Ms. Berger joined the University of Montana leadership team in May of 2023 following 14 years of service as a K-12 teacher and administrator at Corvallis School District. She holds a bachelor's degree from Oregon State University, a master's degree in education from Southern Oregon University, and an administrative certificate from the University of Montana. It's been my sincere pleasure to work alongside Christina during the past 10 months. Found her to be an innovative leader, an amazing teammate, and a staunch advocate for higher education at Bitterroot College. So I'm going to turn this over to Director Berger and let her lead this presentation.
Thank you. Interesting challenges that not every community has. We have students that have challenges with transportation, so we have innovative ways for them to zoom into our classes. We have individuals that lack access to internet. While it's improving in Ravalli County, it is not equitable or always reliable, so we have in-person classes that they can attend. And the cost of living is a challenge in many places in Montana and, again, in western Montana in the Bitterroot Valley. So having a local college that students can attend is really important to accessing education. A little bit about us. We've got the backing of the University of Montana, and we are able to offer students resources of the flagship university while still maintaining autonomy as an extension campus. We are uniquely positioned to meet the needs of our local community and provide innovative programs and opportunities tailored to our specific needs of students and industry. Our high-flex hub and spoke model, for example, allows us to expand and offer a wider range of courses and programs while maintaining a personalized and supportive environment and student success services. Most of our courses allow students to attend in person or online, both synchronous and asynchronously. This format extends the walls of our classrooms with strategic use of technologies and tools like the OWL, split-screen projectors, tablets, and auto-track cameras that allow our instructors to provide high-quality education to students simultaneously online and in classrooms. Courses have been redesigned with high-impact practices and include activities that build interactivity into our lessons, invigorate discussion sections, and create dynamic learning experiences. We are committed to providing our community with the best possible education, preparing them for success locally. Our focus is on the improvement of our citizens in Hamilton and the Bitterroot Valley accessing affordable and relevant education. Our vision to enhance our community, and this is the way that we're doing it. We're catering to local industry needs. Since starting in May, I have met with a number of industry leaders to help identify areas where our campus can help provide tailored solutions to each industry's unique needs. Our focus has been on being responsive to that feedback. The development of strategic partnerships with organizations and stakeholders in the community is essential. I believe that by working together, we can achieve greater outcomes and make a more significant impact on the local economy. As previously mentioned, I think the key here is an emphasis on strategic. Bringing the community together requires give and take from both sides. It is equally important that not only the college respond to the feedback from employers, but that industry leaders seek ways to enhance pipelines with creative solutions to assist in things like the recruitment of students, the support to employees seeking advancement, and the funding of both the cost of training and equipment and materials to do so. We have a responsibility as an institution to offer training and programs that lead to sustainable living wage jobs, and this requires assistance from industry and strategic partners. We have multiple on and off ramps for advancement, and it is essential that we offer these. Our campus has both credit and non-credit options for students. This allows for our expanded program to improve access for individuals seeking advancement. The new majority learner engaging on our campus has a different set of expectations. We continue to evaluate our programs to serve our community more efficiently and effectively. Examples of this work include our work with education design labs and micro pathways, our implementation of guided pathways from Missoula College, dual enrollment equity pathways or DEEP, prior for credit for prior learning, and our hub and spoke model. Our overall vision is that the University of Montana Bitterroot College campus provides education to enhance the economic and social mobility of our citizens. Being involved in our community and positively contributing to the success of our entire ecosystem. Our pillars of success for our campus include the implementation of a few of these strategies. We have developed degree maps for all of our academic programs at both Missoula College and Bitterroot. This includes linking them on our web pages and identifying career and job opportunities, highlighting actual wage data for Western Montana in the various career paths. We've also worked through micropathway mapping to help show non-credit to academic program bridges and career ladders complete with correlations between educational attainment and increases in wages. Our co-rec model. The new majority learner needs a different experience than what was traditionally provided. Lauren Fern has revolutionized the co-rec model, and we find it to be wildly successful on our campus. We offer both writing and math courses in co-rec, as well as our anatomy and physiology classes 1 and 2, ensuring that every student that walks in our door has a way to enter our academic programs regardless of their preparedness for college courses. Our third pillar is student choice and access. We have made very strategic changes to ensure that learning is happening with intentional outcomes. We are working with instructors on the Bitterroot campus to create, strengthen, or repair relationships with faculty at both Missoula College and the University of Montana for collaborative opportunities, professional development, and to ensure the education students receive on campus is the same on any other. We have worked to improve delivery of our high flex model to improve learning in remote and asynchronous modalities. We've been working with Missoula's career coach, OPI's career coach for our region, and local industry partners to provide more career-connected learning opportunities to our students. And we're working with industry to ensure that degrees, certificates, and trainings produce students that are ready to thrive in the workforce. Lastly, I believe that Bitterroot College's strongest asset is the fact that we have always had a comprehensive wraparound student support model. While this was done because of our small size, it has been reinforced through research that having one point person to contact with questions and support leads to student learning and persistence. We continue to strengthen our support measures with integrations from Missoula College and the main campus to help students make informed choices, strengthen clarity around ease of transfer, and intervene if students go off track. Lastly, I'd like to highlight some of the partnerships with many people have already spoke about today. We have partnerships with K-12 districts in Ravalli County. Ravalli County serves 40,000 plus residents from 6 different high schools ranging from Class A to Class C. In partnership with Missoula College, we have recently applied for seed funding to further expand our efforts in dual enrollment. Dual Enrollment Equity Pathways, or DEEP, is a framework that complements the guided pathways work to strategically target underserved populations and help to provide more equitable access to all students. With the passing of legislation for public charter schools, Bitterroot College has partnered with both Hamilton School District and their Bitterroot Polytech Charter and Corvallis School District and their RISE Academy. Collaboratively, we are navigating best practices for early college high schools, implementation of DEEP, and individualized learning plans for dual enrollment, based on research from the Community College Research Center. Other partners that we have include higher education institutions. Most of our courses on Hamilton campus are taught in that high flex modality, making them accessible not only to our rural students in Ravalli, but across the state of Montana. We also have developed a number of online courses to provide accessibility and innovative ways to facilitate courses like science labs. To highlight more of the guided pathways work, I've been working with the University of Montana's College of Education to create a 2+2 degree pathway in early childhood and elementary education. We are also working with the College of Forestry to get a 2+2 degree pathway there. To provide access to more health science programs, we have partnered with Helena College and offer a licensed practical nurse certificate, and Flathead Community College with a medical laboratory technology associate of arts in science. We have had 8 total graduates from our LPN program, with an additional 7 students that will graduate in December. We also have 1 student in our first cohort for the MLT degree. Lastly, we partner with local industry. Our system outcomes and goals for our non-credit programs include financial sustainability and aligned career pathway systems to increase the number of skilled workers with credentials of value to the labor market. Bitterroot Health is one of our largest employers in Hamilton, and health science industry is seeing a shortage of trained employees and continued growth in openings across the state. Bitterroot Health has been a true partner and engaged employer with us throughout our recent work on the Year to Career initiative with Education Design Labs and OCHI. Facilitated collaboration between the college and employer has allowed us to make improvements to our clinical certified medical assisting non-credit training to provide more focus on the skills that Bitterroot Health needs medical assistants to have upon entry. That cohort is going to launch April 1st. To further the value of our non-credit training, we've begun to map that non-credit training to academic programs to build crosswalks and career ladders. This past year, we've trained 25 medical assistants, 9 phlebotomists, 25 truck drivers with their commercial driver's license, and piloted a cohort of 6 Hamilton High School students to become certified nurses' aides. This fall, we will have cohorts of up to 10 students at an additional 3 area high schools. Accelerate Montana has continued to help market these programs and provide financial assistance to keep these trainings at a reasonable cost to participants, as they're non-credit versus credit trainings. Lastly, in conjunction with Hamilton High School and the Bitterroot Polytech Charter, we have combined our efforts to engage the community. A shared advisory board allows us to comprehensively gather input and build programs starting as early as possible. Industries represented on our advisory board include GSK and RML in the biotech industry, the Bitterroot Valley Chamber of Commerce, Hamilton Downtown Association, Bitterroot Early Learning Network, Dick Anderson Construction, the Forest Service, Greater Valley Foundation, and Farmers State Bank. Thank you for the opportunity to share some updates and initiatives that is happening on our campus in Hamilton. I will stand for any questions.
Thank you, Director Berger. Questions, comments from the regents? Regent Dombrowski.
So is there a levy in May? Another? Okay, that's what I thought. So if the levy passes, how might that change things? Maybe that's way too long of a question, but, or big of a question, or wild of a question. Yeah, I heard yes over here, so no one has to say anything. If the levy doesn't pass, it will be this continued great work.
I mean, if I could, Chair Southworth and Regent Dombrowski, I mean, our job right now is to serve the learning needs of the Bitterroot. What Bitterroot voters decide and the progress or not of a Bitterroot community college is the purview of the voters, and our job is to carry out our mission as best we can right now.
Very well stated. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our agenda for the two-year community college. Chair Dombrowski.
Thank you. That was excellent. Really appreciate the time it took and the presentations. I think we can, we've learned and continue to learn a lot, and really have sort of a call to action on a couple of items in the future. I am going to muster on, unless I get the sense that anyone wants a break. I think generally at this point in time, mustering on feels like the right thing to do. All right. We're now at public comment. Since this is a public meeting, I will now call for any public comment. Public comment may be offered on items on this meeting's agenda or on any matter not on the agenda, but under the jurisdiction of the Board of Regents, Written public comment may also be sent to Jasmine Casanovas at jcasanovas@montana.edu. To allow us to give everyone a chance to comment, please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Is there any in-person public comment?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Melissa Ramirez, and I'm the ASMSU Vice President and also President of the Montana Associated Students this year. First, I want to start off with a huge thank you to University of Montana Western and my colleagues over at ASUMW for hosting us. They've been excellent hosts, and I felt more than welcomed, and I've fallen in love with Dylan. To come to you today, I just want to kind of give a quick mass update. We met last night after the reception alongside a ton of representatives from across the state and our lovely advisor, Christine Miller, and then as well as Regent Yeager. We had a ton of really awesome action items. To start off, we talked about the student regent process and how that's moving along. We have a couple of candidates currently, but to give the governor's office a various slate of students from across various backgrounds, we are looking to, towards the end of April, push that slate along after our process has concluded, but we are on track to have a student regent appointed on time. Next, we talked about a very fun project, and we're very excited about it, and that's restructuring of Mass. We will have a ton of more details in the May meeting, but how we're going to go about that is through a bylaw audit. So student leaders from across the state will come together to work on our bylaws and improve them, to make them more readable, to make them more accurate to kind of the needs that we have currently. And then with the help of the OCHI legal team, kind of put those in state at our final meeting for the year. Ultimately, we want to align Mass with state initiatives and meeting students where they're at, as well as making it more representative, more accessible, and various students from all backgrounds serving on Mass. And we're really excited for what that will look like, and also have more long-term goals and less turnover, ultimately. So we're excited to share what that will look like in the May meeting. But thank you for all that you do for this university system, and thank you for having student leaders here and always hearing what students have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. And thank you, too, for the great work. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Madam Chair, esteemed regents. I'm Maggie Bell. I'm the ASUM president this year, and I'm also the Mass treasurer. So along the same lines as Melissa just spoke about, last night Mass also voted to transfer the Mass account from MSU Billings to UM. We're hoping that it will provide the account more stability and continual oversight to live directly under our student government rather than in business services. For a little bit of context, the account lived at MSUB for a while, and the accountant who saw the account and worked with Mass pretty closely on overseeing it and getting dues paid retired a year or two ago, and so dues have gone unpaid for the last 2 years, and the account's in a minor deficit, which is part of why we're working on all of this restructuring and just setting the groundwork up, ultimately leaving things better than we found it, hopefully. But the goal is to zero that account out, get it moved over to UM where we can have it housed more consistently and with a little bit more oversight. And then alongside that, setting up a timeline where dues will be paid by this date, and we'll have the due structure set up by this date. That's going to go in with our bylaws reform, setting up a calendar of events for Mass so that there's just that continual structure and no question of what needs to happen when. So just a little update on that front. I'd also like to take a moment to thank Western for hosting, especially the ASUMW folks. They had us over for a pasta bar last night, and it was amazing, and it's so much fun to work with all of their student government kids and just across the state. This has genuinely been such a great meeting, and I hope it's been the same for you. Thank you for all of your dedicated time and commitment to higher education. And I also would like to take a minute to wish Regent Yeager a happy birthday in Dillon. Happy birthday. Thank you.
First of all, thank you, Maggie, for the update. Appreciate it. I can't carry a tune, but if someone would like to start, I think it seems appropriate.
Thank you, everybody. I thought I was avoiding Chancellor Reed turning me red yesterday, but I guess I was wrong.
Oh, that's really a wonderful way to end public comment. Is there any other public comment? Okay, come on up. We didn't end it. That's no worries.
Madam Chair, Board of members of the board and Deputy Commissioner, thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is Emma Jeske. I'm a junior here at Western, and I currently serve on Student Senate. This is my second Board of Regents meeting. I attended, today attending, I heard several discussions and yesterday of accessibility, affordability, and success. With that in mind, I am compelled to speak about my journey that I had through higher education. I graduated from high school, Glacier High School in 2020 at the height of COVID-19 pandemic. Fortunately for me though, my journey in higher education started sooner than that. My journey began in my sophomore year. I joined the summer experience program at Flathead Valley Community College. This allowed me to take a 3-credit class and a College 101 course at no cost to me. This experience helped me get my feet wet in college. I continued to take college courses during my junior and senior years of high school through the Running Start program. These programs allowed me to access higher education at little cost to me. As a first-generation college student, this was a huge benefit. It made college affordable and very accessible to me. College, or FECC, provided a safe space for me to learn, try new things, join student organizations, and grow as a leader. The small student-to-faculty ratio granted me a strong relationship with my professors and the ability to dive deeper into the subjects. All of this combined bestowed a sense of belonging and success to me. After graduating from FECC with my associate's degree, I seamlessly transferred to Western. I sought a continuation of my education at an institution with block scheduling and small class sizes. The faculty and staff have been extremely supportive, and I have been able to develop many professional relationships. My experience here has been nothing short of amazing. In conclusion, I'd like to thank the Montana University system for providing me with the opportunity to attend a great community college and the ability to seamlessly transfer to the amazing campus of UMW. My higher education journey has been one of accessibility, affordability, and success. Thank you for the work that you do and your time. Also, go Bulldogs.
Thank you, Emmett. I think that did top happy birthday. Thank you for that. Are there any other public comment? Is there any online public comment? All right, thank you. We are concluded our public comment. Now we're going to move on to our action items. Okay, so first we have the Academic Research and Student Affairs Committee. I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items A through G.
So moved.
Thank you, Regent Yeager. Is there any discussion from members of the board? Any discussion from the campuses? Is there any public comment? Seeing no further comment, I will call for the vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. The motion passes. Okay, moving to our action items from the ARSA Committee. I will entertain a motion to approve action item A, honorary doctorate from UM.
So moved.
Thank you, Regent Lozar. Is there any discussion from members of the board? Any discussion from campuses? Is there any public comment? Seeing no further comment, I will call for the vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. The motion passes, and thank you, we heard you, Regent Buchanan. Okay, well, I will move to action item B, honorary doctorate from UM Missoula. I will entertain a motion to approve that item.
So moved.
Thank you, Regent Lozar. Is there any discussion from members of the board? Any discussion from campuses? Is there any public comment? Seeing no further comment, I will call for the vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. The motion passes. I will entertain a motion to approve action item C, honorary doctorate MSU Bozeman.
So moved.
Thank you, Regent Bao. Is there any discussion from members of the board? Is there any discussion from campuses? Is there any public comment? Seeing no further comment, I will call for the vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. I will entertain a motion to approve action item D, honorary doctorate MSU Bozeman.
So moved.
Thank you, Regent Bao. Is there any discussion from members of the board? Is there any discussion from the campuses? Any public comment? Seeing no further comment, I will call for the vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. The motion on action item D passes. I will entertain a motion to approve action item E, request to plan proposals.
So moved.
Thank you, Regent Yeager. Is there any discussion from members of the board? Any discussion from campuses? Any public comment? Seeing no further comment, I will call for the vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right, go to the items for the Budget Committee. I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items from the Budget Committee A through G.
So moved.
Thank you, Regent Southworth. Is there any discussion from members of the board? Any discussion from campuses? Any public comment? Seeing no further comment, I will call for the vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. The motion passes. All right, now on to the action items. Action item A, request for authorization to construct main campus parking I will entertain a motion to approve that item.
So moved.
Thank you, Regent Yeager. Is there any discussion from members of the board? Any discussion from campuses? Any public comment? Seeing no further comment, I will call for the vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. The motion passes. I will entertain a motion to approve action item B, request for authorization to plan and design the Clatt Building renovations at
So moved.
Thank you, Regent Bao. Is there any discussion from members of the board? Any discussion from campuses? Any public comment? Seeing no further comment, I will call for the vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. The motion passes. I will entertain a motion to approve item C, request for authorization to plan and design the Flathead Lake Biologic Station water and sewer systems at UM.
So moved.
Thank you, Regent Lozar. Is there any discussion from members of the board? Is there any discussion from campuses? Is there any public comment? Seeing no further comment, I will call for the vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. I will entertain a motion to approve action item D, request for authorization to construct campus storage building at UM.
So moved.
Thank you, Regent Yeager. Is there any discussion from members of the board? Any discussion from campuses? Any public comment? Seeing no further comment, I will call for the vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. I will entertain a motion to approve action item A, request for authorization to design the renovations of Main Hall at Montana Tech.
So moved.
Thank you, Regent Bao. Is there any discussion from the members of the board? Any discussion from campuses? Is there any public comment? Seeing no comment, I will call for the vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. The motion passes. I will entertain a motion to approve action item F, request for authorization to design the renovations of Engineering Hall at Montana Tech.
So moved.
Thank you, Regent Southworth. Is there any discussion from members of the board? Is there any discussion from campuses? Is there any public comment? Seeing no comment, I will call for the vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. I will entertain a motion to approve action item G, request for authorization to design infrastructure improvements, safety improvements, and research facilities, MSU Agricultural Experiment Station.
So moved.
Thanks, Regent Lozar. Is there any discussion from members of the board? Discussion from the campuses? Or any public comment? Seeing no comment, I will call for the vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. And finally, I will entertain a motion to approve action item H, request for authorization to design the Agricultural Research Labs, MSU Agricultural Experiment Station.
So moved.
Thank you, Regent Yeager. Is there any discussion from members of the board? From the campuses? Is there any public comment? Seeing no comment, I will call for the vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. The motion passes. All right, so on behalf of the Board of Regents, I will adjourn.
We have
our
one
meeting.
more.
I do?
To
Oh,
you.
I do. Look, I was trying to get it done quickly.
Good job.
This is a, Jackie Treaster, sorry. I'll give you my personal apology.
He's on it.
All right. I'll entertain a motion to approve action item A, a very important action item from our committee this morning, request for approval for Perkins 5 state plan.
So moved.
Thank you, Regent Southworth. Is there any discussion from members of the board other than, please accept my apology? Is there any discussion from campuses? Is there any public comment? Seeing no further comment, I will call for the vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right, now I think I'm done with the action items. Any comments from the board? And I would just express again our appreciation, Chancellor Reed, for the wonderful hospitality and acknowledge all the work that goes into this. It was certainly very great to be here. Awesome. All right, with that, we stand adjourned. Thank you very much.
Nice choice.